Greetings, Stars fans. This is the Two Brothers Mic'd Up show. Again, minus one brother, due to time constraints and everything like that. If you didn't know, we sit down, we play a game of NHL, we discuss what happened in the game that previously went on. This time it was game 37 against the St. Louis Blues. Stars win 3-0. As always, we start off each video with going back to the last video and talking about the predictions that we had. Now, in the last video, we had our father on. He liked the scores of 4-1 for Dallas and 3-2 for St. Louis. He wasn't really predicting a close game per se, but he had a feeling that the Stars were going to come on top, and actually pretty heavily. I also had a score for Dallas if they were to come on top 5-2, and for St. Louis I like to score of 4-1. I thought it was going to be a little more open-ended because it was a back-to-back game, and having this game in Dallas really got a boost from the crowd. We have to give full marks to how the crowd showed up for this one. And this being a back-to-back game, Dallas has not always played really well in back-to-back games in the past 2-3 seasons. They've usually become up pretty flat on back-to-back games, and a lot of the times we're going up against the Blackhawks on back-to-back games, so you know those had usually turned into losses, even though I think last year we actually beat them once on a back-to-back. But we have a home-and-home against St. Louis. The previous game, the Stars lost 3-2 in the shootout, and that game was a lot more different than the game that was played on Sunday. Sunday, the Stars had energy. The Blues looked like they were the tired team. In St. Louis, the Stars, they didn't really look tired per se because, they had that break, but it looked like they just didn't have everything working right. It looked as if they're not really clueless, but they didn't really know what they were doing out on the ice for like that first 10 minutes in the first game of the back-to-back. And this game, you could tell that they showed up right from the drop. And one thing that I would love to highlight is some of the stats from the game Sunday. Sunday, we have 38 shots to 22 for Dallas. Penalty minutes 20-18 for 20-18 for St. Louis. Now the hits is something that's very interesting with this game. The Stars didn't let St. Louis bully them around like they did in the previous game. I think the hits were like 28-15 in the home game for St. Louis, but in this game, you know what? The Stars actually showed some grit, some dander, especially with Jamie Benn. Jamie Benn came out and he played like a madman throughout the whole game. Now, giveaways. This is something that has always plagued the Stars team this season, and it's usually because they are a high possession team. Thus, they have the puck a lot, so thus they're probably going to turn it over a lot more than the other team if they don't have the puck. But this one, it was 21-11 in this one. The Stars cleaned up a lot of their game from St. Louis going into this one, and it was a breath of fresh air because, like I said earlier, the Stars usually don't show up for their back-to-backs. But this season has been, kind of a different story. I mean, even though they haven't won every back-to-back, they have a shootout loss against Edmonton. They got blown out of the water by St. Louis, but then they took those back-to-back losses and really learned to adjust their game. The Stars have usually, in the first game of a back-to-back, the Stars have won. So they're not expensing all of their energy like the teams that they're playing against, especially with the St. Louis. I mean, St. Louis, they had 4 forwards that had over like 22 minutes each for 4 of their forwards, and only one of our forwards, and I believe it was Jamie Benn, that had over 20 minutes. So, I mean, everyone was getting equal amount of minutes in the St. Louis game, which, you know, went into the Dallas game, that, you know, they showed up with energy. And that's the Stars team that I've been talking about for the past, you know, couple of weeks, is that the Stars have to learn how to use their speed, their skill, their hands to really outwork a team like St. Louis. Because a team like St. Louis, it doesn't really seem like they have a lot of strategies in their repertoire. Because in the 2 losses that they have against Dallas, they just try to bully them, and Dallas kind of let them. And not so much in the second game that they played in the shootout loss. I mean, Dallas kind of responded a little bit, but in the first game, that first game was over in the first period because they had gotten bullied by the St. Louis Blues. And it was good seeing that, you know what, the Stars finally said, you know what, we're not going to take it. We are not going to let you come into, especially our house in our town, and let you try to knock us around. They answered the call, and it was exceptional. Like, just on preparation alone, this was a much better game. Now, the Stars get goals from Sharp, Ben, and Eakin. Sharp in the first period off of a power play, and that power play was a little weird, because we see a big old scrum happening, and at first you don't really know what's going on, but then you see replays, and it's a Bortuzzo butt in that just gets everybody's jump on, and it was pretty egregious. You know, he did it on Ben. Look, I've never said that Ben is the cleanest player. You know, he has some dander to his game. He plays on the edge, and he has a pest. He has that pest to his game. And you know, I think he had like a slash on Steen that didn't really look all that great when you think about it. I mean, you can't really justify what he did with that. But, you know, Jamie Benn at least keeps it somewhat civil whenever he's trying to do stuff like that. No, he hasn't been civil a lot of the times, but he tries. He plays with grit in his game. Bortuzzo, that it was malicious. There's no defending it, like, at all. I would love to see any St. Louis Blue really sit there and try to defend that play. You know, it's not trying to get in the head of Jamie Benn. It's not trying to, you know, get him off his game. Stuff like that he might not have had the intention of injury, but stuff like that is usually with intent to do something, to cause some kind of damage. And what was great about that is you see an unlikely candidate step up to defend our captain, and it was Tyler Seguin, which he's having a very underrated physical season. He's really bringing a lot to his game with his physicality that we didn't really see in the first 2 seasons that he was here. Yes, he can skate, but now he's using his skating to his advantage to really help propel his body and finishing checks. And we've seen it in the past couple of weeks. Hell, even Razor has pointed it out in some of the games that, you know, Seguin is finishing checks. He's separating people from the puck. Sagan's not really getting knocked off the puck as much as maybe last year. And it's great to see that, Sagan is not just a Mike Modano, someone that isn't really going to try to stand up for anything. Yeah, Mike Modano had some physical means to him, but I think Sagan is really starting to evolve his game. I'm not saying that he's going to come out and turn into a pure grinder. I mean, he's still going to be the playmaker, but he's getting grit to him, and that's fantastic. And then we see off of that ensuing power play, but it was also Scotty Upshaw. I think he was interfering with Jordy Ben, that puts him on the man advantage. And then we see Sharp on his birthday, just hard-nosed hockey, going to the net, finishing his play, not just giving up on it as soon as he gets that shot off. He stays with the play. He goes and stays on the net, and he's rewarded. That's the type of hockey that the Stars have to continue to do. That's the Stars hockey that isn't defined. The way the Stars are winning it's not defined by one thing. Kind of like what I think St. Louis's game is kind of one-dimensional. After you get past Tarasenko and Backes and Steen, they rely a lot on their physicality to, try to bully themselves around. But, St. Louis also has two great goaltenders like we do now. So, and I'm not saying we're St. Louis, because we do not have the physicality that St. Louis has. Not even close. But we do see in this game that people are willing to stand up for this team. They're not just going to let... I honestly think last game they understood that St. Louis was doing this. And so if it was Jamie or if it was Lindy Ruff that said, look, we can't let them do this anymore. So full marks to Dallas with their physicality in this game. We see takeaways, 11-9 in favor of Dallas. And we see faceoffs, 37-32. Dallas has pretty much owned St. Louis and when it comes to faceoffs, which has a lot more possession time. But in this one, I think possession time meant a hell of a lot more than the past two games, because the Stars were able to use their speed and their skill in this game. And then second period, we see a Antoine Roussel fight against Brouwer. We give full marks to Roussel in that fight. That was the better of the two fights. We also see a Travis Moen fight. He goes after Bortuzzo, which is great, because you know what? That's what Moen's here to do. Let's not get it twisted. He's not here for goals or anything like that. He is a fourth line grinder. And you know what? I think Moen relishes in that role. When he's in the lineup, that's what he's going to do. He's supposed to bring that type of sheriff mentality. It's like, look, there's going to be consequences for the actions that you try to pull on our star players. Now, Jamie Benn does not need anybody sticking up for him, but that's what a teammate does. They stick up for their captain. Let alone a teammate, but their captain. That is old school hockey, and I don't think old school hockey is going anywhere. This game, they had... The thing about this game is that they only had one ref, so it was a lot of policing going on within their own game. So it was good. It was good to see that the Stars weren't going to let them be bullied around. Yes, I've harped on that a lot, but you have to understand that this is a completely different team than last year. Roussel, he's not fighting as much. He's actually trying to be more of a two-way forward. He's trying to be not Yuri Letnin, but you can tell that he wants to be better defensively, and he's not taking as many stupid penalties as he was, which is fantastic. But here's some stats that I thought were really, really interesting. Now, the Stars are ranked first in offense. They were second last season. But the Stars are now tied for ninth with Chicago at 2.41 goals against. They were 26th last year, tied for 26th. If we were having problems with thinking defense wasn't going to be showing up, or if goaltending was still up in the air, I think those questions are answered now. Granted, there's still a lot of season left. There's still a ton of season left, and this could go south. It could. But right now, the makings of a possibly great team is right here. The proof is in the pudding and in the stats. And I was looking earlier, as of today's dates, December 28th, the Stars last season had 19 losses. 19! And now, at the same date in this season, the Stars only have 10. And 7 in regulation and 3 in overtime or the shootout loss. This team is finding ways to stay in the game, to not let games like run away. And it's night and day with how well this team is. And how you can tell that is night and day is that Antti Niemi gets the second star of this week, of December 28th. He had 2 wins and a shootout loss. He goes for a 1.2 goals against with a 9.66 save percentage. He had that Minnesota game where he comes in relief of Kari, stands on his head, helps Dallas come with the win, and then has a fantastic game against Chicago. Plays out of his mind, and then he has that shootout loss against St. Louis. But again, he played out of his mind. Antti Niemi is the number 1 goalie, and with that, I think that helps clear Kari's head. Maybe sometimes clouds it a little bit too. Kari is not out of. I mean, just because he got the shutout doesn't mean that Kari is fixed. He's on the right road now, but it doesn't mean that he's fixed. I'm still skeptical on Kari. Question is, who do the Stars rely on now? And I said this in the last video, if Kari comes out and has a fantastic game, this might put the Stars back against the 8 ball and saying, well, they'll probably be guessing a lot now with who they're going to be playing. And I guess that's a wonderful problem to have. It's, who are we going to start? Is there a goalie A? Is there a goalie B? I mean, as of right now, the Stars have such a luxury right now. You know, I think the way that Kari has been playing is suited better for the backup role. So my question is, where do the Stars go now with their goaltending? And also, I have another question. With the way that Jamie Benn played in this game, is there another player that just can absolutely take over a game the way Jamie Benn can, with physicality and skill? Is it Alexander Ovechkin? Maybe. I think he has the power to really turn a game with his physicality as well. But when you really think about it, who has the power to turn a game around like Jamie Benn? That's my question to y'all. Now, I'll go into the ratings. I gave a rating of an A. I thought the Stars just had a bounce-back game. They have not lost 2 in a row. Still one of the only teams that has not lost 2 in a row. They got exceptional goaltending from Kari. That's exactly what we needed out of Kari, because if he had laid a stinker out there, I don't think he'd see another game for about 4 games. That would be my prediction right there. We get Cody Eakin with a wizardry empty net goal, his second one, that is in that fashion. Sharp played out of his mind. Our defense, shut down everything. This was just a really, really good game. Stars don't need to win 7-6 anymore. They don't. They can rely on defense and goaltending now, which we couldn't last season. I'm going to go into the predictions that I have for the Columbus game. Stars won 5-1 over Columbus in the last meeting in Dallas. I think it might be similar, but I haven't really been paying attention a lot to Columbus. I know they're still towards the bottom of the league, but games like this, teams like this, always scares me because we don't know what Dallas team is going to be there. Dallas has had some terrible losses to some terrible teams. So with that, if I expect Dallas to win, it's going to be a score by 4-2. If Columbus comes on top, it's going to be a score of 3-2. I don't like Columbus's offense, so I don't expect them to really steal the game with their offense. It's going to be on the back of their goaltender. And with that is the discussion. Be sure to comment, subscribe, leave any kind of feedback, share this, hit that like button if you liked it. Help turn this into something fantastic. Remember, this is for fans, by fans. And as always, tune in next time.